good morning from me because it's morning. And here's Enzo, as promised.
Good afternoon.
It's good afternoon to America, and God knows what time in the UK if anyone's here from there. I'll just say hey to everyone who's been here. Sky Talker, hello, and Lisa. And Carla was here this morning, but she's gone to the monster trucks or something, isn't it? Monster trucks or something. She's doing something with the kids today, so she won't be here. We've got Tanya, who I haven't caught up with yet, but she's here in Australia enjoying the sunshine. Jason, just Jason Keto, hello. And we've got Cheryl. And I'm really going to get one of those mirrors. And Firefly Kelly, hello. Hi. So hello and welcome in. And Enzo and I will chinwag and stuff for a little bit and give other people a chance to pop in before we start talking about his adventure to McIntyre. Do you say McIntyre? Or I'd look at it and say McIntyre, but it's not Mac, it's McIntyre. McIntyre. So there you go, McInteer Villa. So that'll
McInteer.
McInteer. Well, it is double E, isn't it? So we'll give it a little while and let some other people pop in. Just so you're aware, behind me, I think you can see Muffin on the bed. If you can, she's a bit dark. Let me light her up for you. Hang on.
The spotlight.
Where are you, Muffin? I'm trying. I'm no good backwards. Oh, that's not very. There she is. There's Muffin and there's Puppy, but there's Muffin and Puppy. So they're sitting there. Before we started, I was laughing because they were play fighting, but they were fighting and jumping up and down. Enzo spotted a bit of it. It does look fun.
Shenanigans going on back there.
There was shenanigans going on, and there'll probably be more shenanigans going on at some point.
Yes. They were wound up.
They were wound up, so we'll let them do what they're going to do. Let's see. Apologies. I have been so, what's the word? This week's been a bit of a week for me. So every time I wanted to put my little 5 haunting questions video together, which was done with the ghosting grannies, I've just been flat as a tack. So I promise I will get that done this weekend and tomorrow, and it'll be up because it was a great interview and it was funny. But and I've got a couple of other little things on the fly. Any of you who watched Joe from Entity 7 Paranormal will know that he was threatened with legal action. Enzo might not know this, but he was doing a deep dive into the Hill House in, where is it, Mineral Wells. He was doing a deep dive into that house. He's come up with a lot of facts about the history of the house, etc. And apparently they don't like it and have threatened him with legal action if he doesn't take everything he put up down, etc., because he signed a contract with them. And apparently the contract says that you can't reuse stuff. I don't know. But anyway, it was a shit show. So I didn't sign any contracts. So I might just, at some point in the future, I might just pop out, just like I do, I'm not mentioning them or the owners, but I might just do a little historical thing on that house, because I think that's fair enough. I'm not going to say anyone's telling fibs. I'm just going to tell you what I've discovered. End of story. No one can sue me for that. At least I don't think so, Enzo. No, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see how that goes. And, of course, it's not too long. How many weeks now till I go to England? Ooh, I haven't even paid much attention. I'll have a look. I leave here on... Dun, 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 dun. Come on, little calendar. I leave here on the 30th of August at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't know how I managed that. When I booked the flight, I thought it was 2 p.m. I thought, that's a good time. I've got time in the morning to do stuff and then head off to the airport. Then I looked at the ticket and went, oh, shit. So it's 2 a.m., but that's all right. Hey, Ian. I'll be heading off on the 30th, which if I leave here on the 30th, I arrive there, I think, on the if there's a 31st, I don't know, but 14 hours behind, and I don't know how many hours the flight is. I didn't really pay attention. Oh, hello, Kevin. Hello. I haven't seen you for a while. I've been kind of out of it a bit, Kevin. Tuber Chat, guys, if you've got a new channel and you would like Kevin to bring it to everybody's attention, go over to Tuber Chat, connect and grow. And Kevin does a great job. It's a great community. There's other channels support you with your watch hours and subscriptions and things like that. So it really is good. Cheryl's here. Who else? Oh, Laura's here. Hello, Laura. Hello, Laura. Laura and Carla stepped in for you last week, Enzo, and it was a lovely, fun live stream. So that was nice. Should I invite? Laura. You're welcome to pop in and say hello if you like. I can send you a link. Hang on, I'll send it. See if you're ready. She might not have a face on. If you're not ready, you're not ready. But hang on, I'll send you a link. And I should have. I think Jonathan from Cops is going to show up soon. Hang on, where are you, Laura? Oh, really good at this, aren't I? There we go, Laura. There she is. Very good. I'm coming back and I'm getting that and I'm copying that and I'm going back. And here I am. So only if you want to, Laura. It's there if you want to pop in and say hello. What was I saying? Yeah, so Jonathan does have a link and I think he's somewhere at the moment doing something, but he might pop in and I can introduce you all to the lovely Jonathan. So do check out Super Chat. Let's have a look. Dr. Deb, hello. See, if I talk long enough, you all get here. So I'm off in just a couple of weeks. And it's just getting closer and closer. And I'm like, before I know it, I'll wake up and it'll be the next day and I have to get going and pack a suitcase. I always wait. I never pack my suitcase until a couple of days beforehand. And that's usually
I'm the same exact way. I'm even less than that. It's like the night before I'll start throwing stuff in it. Because if I start doing it before then, I'll have 20 suitcases and I'll need a separate truck just to carry everything to the airport because I don't want to forget this. I don't want to forget that. No, if I wait until the last second, it's like, okay, just the basics. Underwear, socks, Hawaiian shirts. Everything else is optional after that.
Well, that's the thing. So far as clothes. Hi, Laura. Laura's in, guys.
Hey.
Hi, Enzo. You've met Enzo, haven't you? This way? Yeah, of course you have. And that, look at the beautiful dress she's wearing today and the pretty wings.
Yes, I got all dressed up for you.
But when I travel generally very light. I usually just take a bag of some description with my laptop in it and a carry-on. But I've run into the trouble before when I do that because it's quicker when you get to the other end and when you're coming home, it's just quicker. But I've run into trouble, especially when I came to America, because then I see stuff I want. And then I've got to go to Walmart and buy a suitcase. And I've actually got 5 suitcases because I've done it every trip, and one trip I had to get 2. And I thought, I better take a suitcase this time, even if it's a bit empty. They'll probably go, oh shit, that's an empty suitcase when they chuck it on while I'm going over. But knowing me, I'll see something in an opportunity shop in a whatever and think, oh, that'll be nice. As you can see, I've got shelves of stuff that I buy. My kids go, what do you need all that junk for? And I said, it's just memories, but they're probably right. It's just stuff that collects dust. Hi, Bud Files.
That's actually one of the reasons why I like to drive here in the States to go to different things and stuff like that is I don't have to worry about weight restrictions and carrying an actual bottle of shampoo or something like that on the plane where I can just throw it in the back of my truck. And if I decide there's this collector's end table I just can't live without somewhere wherever I'm at, I can buy it. Just throw it in the back of the truck and take it with me.
Yeah. and that's what I love. Like when I'm home and I drive anywhere, it's the same thing. If I want to grab something, I can just chuck it in the back of the car. But you don't have that luxury when you're in another country. So I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I've seen been watching some YouTube videos. A lady that does walking tours of London and different areas, and she's pointed out some really, because I will be in London. Hi, Joe. I'll refresh someone. I'll talk to you in a second, Joe. What was I going to say? Yeah, so some places in London I'd really like to see that I didn't really like, where William Wallace, remember Mel Gibson, William Wallace, where he was executed, that spot is still there. And in front of that spot, there's like a little park. And that's always been there. That used to be like a fair. They'd have a fair every August in this area. Every August they would have a fair. So when the king decided that he was going to kill Wallace, he waited until the fair date because he wanted as many people there as possible to see him do that to Wallace. So I'd love to go and see that spot. And there's tons of parks around there that were not tons of parks. There's a couple of parks around there that you can walk in and they're a park, but they're actually a grave pit, like back from the days of the plagues and all that sort of thing. And like and I'm like, I had no idea that was there. The Old Bailey, I'd like to go and have a bit of a gawk at that. So I might even just find out when this lady does her walking tours and try and book in a few of those. I don't want to do the Jack the Ripper one because I find that's a little bit. I'd like to see the spots, but not the way they do it, like not the way those walking tours do it, because it's sort of it's almost disrespectful to the ladies that were murdered. So, but I'd still like to see the spots. Maybe I can sort that out, but there you go. Joe, I just told everybody about your interaction with the Hill House. So I'm going to work on putting just a historical, like I do with the Mackie Mansion and Washoe Club and Sally House and all those places that the Washoe, the Washoe Club, all that sort of thing. Just a polite video to show everyone the actual history of the home as that is able to be researched. I'm not going to mention who owns it or anything like that, but we'll put out a historical type thing. I think that's only fair. I think people should be able to know the actual history of a place when they go in to investigate. That's my opinion. And it's nice to keep the true history alive, isn't it, Joe? But there you go.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll do. And when's the next magazine due out, Laura?
September 1st.
September 1st. Ooh, yes. I must write an article for it.
Yes.
And I'm not sure, but there might be something special in the next edition, mightn't there?
Yes, we can't tell. We can't.
We can't tell, but you really must look up the next edition. Oh dear. So yeah. So, and what about you, Laura? How's your week been? I've seen you've been on a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit here and there, but I've been working on the magazine and just been busy.
Yeah.
Just trying to get that together, and because I only have a couple of weeks left, and so I got to get everybody's stuff in so I can get it in there.
Yeah, so and you've done a really great job. It's a great
thank you.
Job. Yeah.
Everybody's
did I see Tanya? Did I say hello to Tanya? Oh yes, of course I did, because I said I wasn't. Oh my God, I just had a heart attack. Then she'd kill me. She'd kill me if I didn't say hello. Oh dear. And Enzo, you were obviously in Atchison on the weekend. We'll talk about. We'll give it another few minutes, but we'll talk about the McInteer Villa in a minute. But did you get an opportunity while there to go past like the what's her name? Oh, Amelia Earhart's house or anything? Did you get to see anything? Or
I didn't get a chance to do that. I did drive around to see the other famous.
My favorite house, the Sally house.
I ended up actually driving right past it. It's like, oh wait, that was it. I already passed it because it's just this little place, and it's very unassuming and kind of tucked back away from the road a little bit as I'm like driving, looking around. I guess I was expecting Because I spot, you know, the McInteer is like really like out in front of everything where it really stands out with the big spires on it and all that stuff. And I guess maybe that's what I had in my head, expecting the Sally House and driver. I was like, oh, there it is. And there was weird traffic there in the little town. And I was like, I'm not going to stop. And there wasn't really any place to like stop and pull over and do the selfie thing in front of the sign.
The selfie. Here's me.
I'll do that some other time.
Well, hopefully, if I get the opportunity next year to get out to America again, if everything is okay everywhere, because it's looking shaky at the minute with everyone. No, not that. I just mean worldwide. It's a disaster at the minute. I'm even a little bit trepidous about going to the UK, but I paid for it, so I'll just make sure I carry a baseball bat or something.
Delete your Facebook history, and you should be okay.
Oh yeah, no. Well, that's the thing over there. You can't put. I think it's made. The Facebook. They arrested somebody the other week, and I can't remember what he did. Barely anything. You just have to say anything that's against what's happening there at the moment, and they can come and knock on your door and arrest you and put you in jail. Yeah. And well, it's kind of funny because when they were going to do that, that was around. Remember when they were trying to cause trouble for Russell Brand? That is when. That's why I reckon it was a bit of a look over there. Like, look over there while we're doing this, because while everyone was looking over there, and Russell actually told everybody it was happening, but no one listened, or people did, but I listened. But while they were looking over there, the law got passed in Parliament, or whatever you call it, in England, and the law about that being able to arrest people for that sort of thing got passed. The only thing they were waiting on was for King Charles. He has to sign it, and King Charles, unfortunately, he doesn't hold the power of the king of days of yore. He's just really a, whatever. But he still has to sign these things, and that's what they were waiting on. So he obviously signed it, and it got passed. So now, watch out. Put anything on the Twitter. There's people sitting there waiting and watching. And who's that? Who said that? Knock, knock, knock. So it's getting pretty bad. Yes, Cheryl, the world has gone mad. Hi, Parasolo. So all things going well. Sometime next year, if I'm able and the world has not gone to shit, I plan to come back to America and go back to Virginia City and do my thing there with my friends. And Enzo might meet me there. Like, that's the plan. Enzo might meet me there, and I'll get my friends to take him and show him all of the mines and all that sort of thing. And then travel to Kansas and I'd like to go to the McInteer Villa, just have a look at it. It looks pretty. So,
it's way bigger inside than I thought it would be.
Kind of like the TARDIS.
Yes, bigger on the inside.
But yeah, so I'd like to do that, and also go to the Sally House. And well, obviously that's my thing. And I'd like to go and look at Amelia Earhart's home from when she was a baby. I wonder what they've got in there, though. That's would they have any of her own things in there, or is it just the fact that someone's purchased the home that she used to live in and they've turned it into a museum?
There's a totally separate museum that has like a replica of the plane that she flew and a bunch of her historical things all about her, all of that. That's actually where a few weeks ago they did the presentation of the underwater sonar, where they think they have found where the plane crashed there on that little island out in the Pacific.
Yeah. Have they gone any further with that? I guess it must be. They've shown some pretty good pictures. I think they're correct, and it fits in with her flight plan and all that sort of thing. It'd be great to actually get a piece of it, but it's way down really low, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty deep, and it's going to cost a lot of money. That's kind of why they did the big presentation. Is like, look, we think this is it, but it's going to cost a lot of money to go back to have a full expedition to go down and send robots down to take pictures and maybe collect a sample or all of that. So that's kind of why they did this big press conference there at the Earhart Museum, was to try and raise a little cash for their next expedition, which, I mean, I get it. It's not a cheap undertaking what they're doing. So
no, it's not. So that'll be interesting if they ever get solid. I think it's it. But then again, we've thought that's it for a lot of things and then found out later, darn it, it wasn't that after all. But whatever it is, it's interesting. They've found something. So that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, so that's I would love to do that, get back to America and see all those places. And of course, places that might be on the way. But I'm super looking forward to seeing a lot of things in England. It's kind of like a kid in a candy store, because I'm really not quite sure. I've got all these places I'd like to see. And yes, no, you're not going to come here. No, I'm not talking to you then. The dog's being naughty. Puppy, come here. Come here. No, he's being really naughty. Can you hear him go and crook at me? He wants to go back. Hey, Angelina. But what was I saying? Before I was rudely interrupted by a chihuahua. You're naughty. Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, there's lots of things I want to see, but just not. Come here. Oh, my God. Yeah, say hello to everybody. All right, back you go. Be attacked by a big dog.
It's like what?
What? But yes, I don't really know. I was talking to Mythos, and he went to York. I don't know if anyone saw his little walk around the city of York. I had no idea it looked like that. It's within the walls, like it's like old time when you would walk into a castle. Well, old time. It's like, you know, how the castle had the big walls around it. You had to enter through. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go there. So that's up further from what I can see on the map. So I'm pretty sure. And Mythos said if I go there, he'll come along and hang out with me. So I think I might do that, because that looks fascinating. So old, like, yeah. But so I've got lots of things I want to do, but I just don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'd like, but yeah, it wasn't it, Angelina? It was all right. It was okay. I enjoyed it. Yeah, and if you want to go over to Bad to the Bones channel and check out, I'm not going to talk about it here because it'll get turned into a rant and I'll say things and no. But if you want to see what's going on with the Conjuring House, head over to Angelina. She's got all the receipts and stuff, and we'll send you in the correct direction. It's just like
it'll get you all riled up and you'll start swearing.
It will. It's like Days of Our Lives. It's like watching a soap opera.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and you just don't know who the villain is. Like, it's really hard to tell. Is that really the villain or is that a red herring? So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I put on my psychic hat, I can see many things happening there. Yeah, just go over to Angelina's. She's on it too.
Yeah, Enzo's ready.
Enzo's ready. It's a bit, yeah. Well, it is. Hello, Betty. Hi, lovely lady. Big kiss. Mwah. Yeah, Angelina. She doesn't hold back on the F-bombs, but that's fine because that's just how she talks. So it's all good. Yeah, Cheryl. That's why I'm not gonna. I have been avoiding it, but it's hard, as everybody knows. If you're actually on, I don't know if it works the same when you're on your phone, but when you're on your computer, like when I'm on my laptop and I open up my YouTube homepage and it shows me what I'd like to watch, I see different people saying stuff and I think, yep, no, I'm not looking. I don't want to look because I'm just going to get angry. And nothing has changed. I'm still getting angry. So I thought, because I did watch something that was up today and I went, oh, for fuck's sake, fair income. I just
there
thought, there it is. I just thought, yeah, done. So I won't talk about it. If you want to get all the correct gossip on it, and it is gossip, but it's kind of, yeah, it's sort of gossip, but yeah, Angelina gets the proper receipts. So you could watch other people talking about it, just reaction type videos, which I've seen a few of. The reaction type videos are exactly that, a reaction, and some of them are terribly spot on with how they're reacting. So if you want the truth, go to Bad to the Bone Paranormal. That's what I'll say. What else? Well, there's a few people in now, so I guess we can ask. So Laura, Enzo went to the McInteer Villa, and he had his first experience at ghost hunting. And so I'm waiting to hear about different things that might have happened. Hello, Dawny.
Hey, Dawn. Yeah, let's hear.
So let's hear what happened. And he's also got Estes method that it doesn't go, how long does it go for? About 5 minutes, maybe?
It's the whole thing is like 14 minutes. That's why I was asking earlier. It's like, do you really want to listen to all of it? But
actually, 14 minutes is a long. You know what we could do? We could play snippets if you can somehow timestamp to the part where you started to talk about I don't want to spoil it.
Well, I have commentary about a few of those things, but I could certainly trim off like the first like minute and a half, because anytime you do the Estes method, because I was the person wearing if anyone's not familiar with it, the Estes method is still using like a ghost box thing, which scans radio frequencies, and as you listen to it, you can hear words that pop up, kind of a thing in relation to whatever questions or responses you're expecting, kind of a thing. But in this case, for the Estes method, one person has a noise reduction type headset on where they're the only person that can hear what's being said on the ghost box radio chatter thing, while the other person is just blindly throwing out questions, and the person that's listening says whatever it is they hear, whatever word that they hear. So they don't know what the questions are being asked because they're totally isolated. They can only hear whatever the ghost box thing is. And the other person is just, there's no like two-way communication between the two people, and the two humans in the room. And I find it interesting. I don't feel like overall, because now having listened to it many times, I don't know that, and this actually kind of falls in line with other people during the night that had some EVPs and stuff like that. It's like we were hearing conversations between other people, but only like one person out of like a group of 2 or 3 people. Like they're talking to each other, but they're not talking to us. They're talking to each other. It's kind of what we gathered throughout the entire, night that we spent there, is where although the very, very beginning part of my Estes method, on reflection and kind of breaking it down and just looking at my responses and almost kind of ignoring the actual questions, no offense to the person that was reading the questions, is just how it happened to turn out, because I really don't think they were, other than a couple times that they were paying that much attention to her. They were just saying stuff. Like I said, I certainly, that was my immediate takeaway after listening to it, because we did our 14, it was 15 minutes total. Actual time is like 14 plus minutes of the recording. It didn't seem like they were really talking to us, and they were talking to someone else, but I was only hearing one person out of like 2 or 3 or 4, even maybe different people they were having a conversation with us. That was my takeaway, at least. But
yeah. And then
there were a couple times which we can point out later, but it took about a minute and a half before I could actually hear anything, because other than that, it's that typical bap, 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 bap kind of sound of just scrolling.
You've got to adjust. Yeah. I find it once,
and that's the first time I'd ever done it. So I'm perfectly open to maybe getting something wrong or something like that. So because there were certainly, I heard like partial words, but I just didn't say anything, because unless it was very, very clear that it was a spoken word. Because the thing that really blew me was like about the 3rd or 4th word in, is they said my name. So I was like, what? Wait a minute. How many times do you listen to the radio and hear the word Enzo? Never. Yeah. I can tell you. So what?
I just want to, Dawn, I know that you had your operation, so I hope you're not in too much pain and it starts to settle down soon. Ace Flat, Ace Flat. I always say Ace Flat, but it's not Ace Flat. It's just, I'll say Ace. G'day. And Angelina, I don't know if you want to, but if you want to, I'll share the link in here and you can pop on if you would like, because Angelina might have some interesting things to say about the Estes method as well. And I'm just going to let the dog out because I can hear the chickens going crook, and he's obviously on cat patrol. So,
sure.
So just give me a second. I'll just stick it in the chat there for you, Angelina. And 1 second, guys. Come on, man.
While she's taking the dogs out, about the time you guys went live last week was about the time that we started our investigation, because we went to dinner where I met the whole gang, because there was a lot of people there that I didn't know. I had never worked with them or anything like that. And they, of course, had never worked with me, because as they were soon to find out, we went like through the whole tour of the house, down in the basement, up in the attic. The basement and the attic were like super hot, super muggy, because it was a very hot day. So we ended up not doing much investigating at all in the basement or in the attic, which left, the ground floor and the second floor, which there was plenty of activity going on there. So we did a lot. That's where we kind of centered a lot of our stuff. And during we got the nickel tour of the whole place. We came back and everybody's kind of unpacking all their stuff and formed a game plan. Well, we're going to go into this part of the house and do this, and we're going to do this. And my intention was just to kind of follow a few people around, people that I did know, to see how they did things, and, other groups that I didn't know, to see if it was different and what their, methods were, things like that. It was an educational thing for me because I'd never been to a thing. And they actually asked me that. They're like, so have you ever been here before? It's like, I've never been to any haunted place before. They're like, what? It's like, no, I'm a UFO guy. What? Which I didn't go into the whole explanation of, my theory of everything, kind of a thing, and how it all might just be the same thing. It might all fit together somehow for ghosts and UFOs and cryptids and all of that stuff. And so I went through the whole thing with that. And as it turns out, that may not have been the best idea. I mean, of course, I'm going to ask, explain who I am. I mean, they're asking, so I'm going to tell them. But I think that may have put some different ideas in some people's head when it came to the Estes method a little later, which basically we did that. We everybody set up. I was actually going around with this brand new to me little action cam thing, following people around, because it has like the best low light, this particular one, because this is an Insta360 Ace Pro. Very good. But after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes of using it, I would get this warning thing that it was going to shut down because it was too hot, and then it would just shut off.
Oh.
So we did have this, plus a couple of other people did have some electrical issues where things just stopped dead. What do you mean the battery's dead? I've only been using it for 10 minutes, that kind of thing. This should last all night. So we certainly had a lot of battery drain and battery issues amongst everybody, here and there. So I don't have a ton of video. I did carry around with me just your basic voice recorder. And I actually...
What's on top of it? What's on top of your is there?
It's a stereo microphone thing. This is the Zoom H1 Essential.
Oh, that looks pretty interesting. Mine's just a plain old recorder. Look at the top of it. I reckon the aliens gave you that.
That's right. Advanced technology from a star system far, far away.
It looks like you can zap somebody with it.
Yeah. It's a taser. It's a breathalyzer. Yeah. It'll hold a shot of whiskey. It'll do everything. But I actually ended up, because I have this, it's actually a photographer's vest, which has just a bunch of pockets in it. And I actually had one of these like flexible type mounts, and I had this mounted to it, and it was just stuck it in one of the larger pockets. So this basically was sitting out like this the entire time. I've got almost 9 hours worth of audio that I had to scrub through specifically just to find this Estes session, which the way that this recorder does is it breaks everything up in 1.5 hour blocks, 90-minute blocks. And this was right at the end of one of those blocks. It was easy to find. But this way, carrying it around like this, it's not rubbing up against my shirt and you hear the scratchy thing or any of that stuff. So it actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would. So the audio part, I was very happy with. So that turned out.
Angelina, I don't know if you heard me say it before, but you're welcome to pop in. I'll put the link here again. There you go. So if you can hear me, Angelina, you're welcome to. I with the Estes method, because I've done it quite a few times now. The first time you do it, you're kind of like adjusting to what should I be listening to, what should I be picking up on. But personally, I find it fun and I enjoy doing it because I actually relax while I'm doing it and stop thinking about anything. I go into a zone. But on reflection, sometimes you get interesting things, but other times, because you've got to remember, it's just sweeping through radio stations. So if it's set to sweep through really, really fast, it's like, and so quick that it'll be like, yes, right. And it goes really, really fast, and you just get snippets of words. In your instance, you got sentences in some spots.
I've had a lot of people say that every time that they've ever done it, they only get like one word at a time, whereas I was getting 3 or 4.
But that tells me that it might have been set to a slow. It wasn't set to the quick. It was probably the slower one where you can get like 3 or 4 words will come through. You'll get a sentence. So that's what that told me, that it was set on a slower sweep. And the other thing you get is people. I was watching somebody they were just using the Spirit box. They weren't doing an Estes, but that's what you use. Here she is. Here we are. Oh, hang on. Where are we? I
just put my share up in case you thought that may not be what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's there. Is that that's for the Estes. All right, hang on.
Right.
I'll put it up in a second. But yeah, so you'll get people. I was watching another Estes method, and it said a name, and then the person, oh, hello, Mary. Do you live here, Mary? And then starting to go on a narrative with a Mary, because they've heard the name Mary. So then it's gone, and then the next word was something like, candle or something, and then they've gone, oh, do you need a candle, Mary? Like they continued on with the Mary thing. I find that annoying because you will get names. They didn't. Now, if they had have said, what is your name? Can you tell me your name? And Mary came through, then one could think, oh, okay, all right. Well, if you're Mary, and you'd ask another question that you might get a specific answer on, but a lot of people lead the conversation with the words that they hear. So rather, in that instance, it wasn't asking the name; it was they were asking something completely different, and I can't remember what it was now. Completely different, and the name. It wasn't Mary, it was some other name. But anyway, so that's the only thing. The person asking the question, you have to think, right, I'm just going to react to the words I hear. And if it's not actually responding to my question, I'm going to disregard what it says because that's just a random word. That's how I look at it. But a lot of people don't do that. They run with what they hear, which in your instance did kind of happen. So instead of going, oh, that was an absolute... an absolute. It's interesting that you heard your name. And this is where, I don't know what anyone else thinks, this is where I would love for what you're hearing to be also recorded. Because again, sometimes we can hear things and you say it. Enzo's I don't know how you could mishear that. But there are some things that you can hear the word and you repeat what you think you hear. because sometimes it's so quick. So I think for a true Estes method, I think it would be really great if you could also record, which you can. There is a way you can do it. Record what is on. So you've got the recording of what you're repeating, and then you can listen back and you'll go, oh shit, yeah, I thought it said such and such, but it actually said so and so. But yeah, so I do like doing the Estes method because it's fun and it's relaxing, but I personally don't take any. There are interesting people do get interesting stuff, but usually it's just all random. So you can get interesting that's curious. Sometimes you can get some, but oftentimes if you really listen to what's being asked and then the responding things and how some people in the way they ask a question can twist what they're hearing into a narrative. And people who don't know better fall for the narrative. And so, yeah. But anyway, I'll put it up. What do you think, Laura? Have you ever done the Estes method, Laura?
No, I've never done it. But I do agree with you. It's just that, if you don't feed into the machine and just let it do its thing, I think you get a better result.
Yeah. And you can ask questions, but if you don't get a direct answer to the question, so if I said, can you tell me your name? And it says sausage. Well, I'm not going to go, oh, what's your name?
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, I've heard, like, this is how you twist it. Sausage. Did you like sausages? Or
right, yeah.
Sausages? And then the next word might be ha ha ha. And it could be like, are you laughing at us? And so it's just different things, the way you can ask the questions. Like, so there are a ton of stuff you could just let it go. Well, that didn't answer I was asking a question and it said sausage. So, but someone might turn around and say, oh, are you a silly sausage? Do you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. They make it up. They make it fit what they want to hear.
Look at Tanya. Sausage, show me. Tanya's back to normal. All right. So, where are we, Enzo? I've got it up there. So if you want to, we can stop it intermittently rather than sit here and listen to the full.
Sure. I'll let the first couple minutes, first few seconds play. Cause honestly, I sat there for almost a minute and a half before I actually heard anything that I could say. Now, as it turns out, the first thing I did say was kind of, oh crap, where are we going with this? But, so I'll play just like the first few seconds. This is between myself and my friend Patty, which I'd never met until this day. They're like at dinner before we went there. Very nice. She did all the questioning sides of it. On reflection, after playing the whole thing and analyzing it, I did run this through like an AI thing to put the text up so you'll see what the text at the bottom of what we're saying as we're saying it. It's not perfect, but for a free app, it did actually fairly good. And I did edit out a few things where things that I actually said, and because I know there's one line that I say somewhere in here later on that it sounds, even when I listen to it now, it sounds like I say something else, but that's not what I said. It's just the way that the mic caught it, or the way that I was probably just said it really fast, because towards the end, things were kind of coming very fast and I was trying to speak and listen at the same time. So it got a little confusing, but I'll just play like the first few seconds and then I'm going to skip ahead about a minute and a half in when I actually start saying stuff. So we'll just jump in and just give you a thumbs up if you can hear this okay. Can you hear that all right?
Yeah, you could turn it up a little bit.
I think I'm maxed out.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I'm maxed out on mine. So sorry, you may have to turn it up a little bit, but
be able to hear you. You can use some of the radio waves to try to form your words. So
I'm going to go ahead and jump in here about a minute plus. Why aren't you dead? The first thing I hear is, why aren't you dead?
Nice.
Now, when I heard it, I still can't place the name, but it was a man's voice, and it was a comedian. It's some kind of they were doing like a bit. It was like I can almost remember what the bit is in like the back of my head somewhere, because it came off super sarcastic. Why aren't you dead? Kind of. And the next couple of responses.
It's not my time yet. Are you dead?
What are you here for?
I'm here to visit with you. I'm curious. Aren't you curious about
You always
me?
stand out.
Did you live in this house? You can ask me any question you want, I'll answer.
Yeah.
Then you can answer questions for me. Were you born in Atchison? Do you know why you're still here? Really like to talk.
So at this time, Enzo, was it just you weren't hearing any words at all? It was just
Yeah, I wasn't hearing anything. I think this is when I start to pick it up a little bit. Where let's see, at 2:18, I said yep. At 3:20, which we just passed, which I'll back it up just a hair. I say wouldn't want to test. I don't know what that means.
well, no, but it also doesn't coordinate with anything she's asking.
Yeah,
So that's
pretty
what we
much. It's not till like the very end where there's anything that seems to correlate with anything that Patty says.
Mm.
A lot of it is just me saying random words, but here in like another 45 seconds is when it says my name. So we'll just I'll say wouldn't want to test. At 3:48, you'll hear these worlds. And then it says my name. Wouldn't want to test.
What kind of test? Do you have to pass a test to leave here?
These worlds.
There are many of them. Are you a person?
Enzo. He said my name. Now, when that, because it was very clearly just Enzo, just kind of blurted it out. And there's no mistaking that for something else or anything. I was like kind of dumbfounded. It's like, oh my God, he said my name. That he said it said my name. That's the only time I like broke character and said something other than what they were saying through the headset, just because I was kind of stupefied to hear my own name in there.
And I'll give you that because that is weird. And without being able to record it and hear it back and verify, you've got to take what your name sounds like. So, and many people, hi Pam, many people do hear their own name. I've never heard Karen, and one would wonder why, given that everyone calls everyone a Karen. But I think if I did hear my name in association with a question, or can you tell us who's here or something, then I think, well, that's interesting, But yeah, pretty cool. And so what's next?
Before we get too far along, one of the things looking at just the basic transcripts of just what I said, because it becomes obvious after listening through this a couple of times, they are really not paying any attention to Patty at all until the very, very end. So I started off with, why aren't you dead? What are you here for? You always stand out. This was right at the beginning. This is like within from a minute and a half to almost 2 minute mark. And these are things that other ghost people would say as questions to them in the house, where it almost seemed like the sarcasm, because all three of those things in that first 2 minutes were a man's voice, and there was a super sarcastic kind of way that it was saying all of it, at least my impression of it. So it was almost, I kind of felt like this is mocking other people, other ghost people, asking questions, did you die here? Are you from here? How long, how old are you when you died? What year is all of those things with, why aren't you dead? What are you here for? You always stand out. I don't know where the you always stand out thing comes in exactly, but it was in that same
your Hawaiian shirts, you're always standing out.
I actually have used that line to describe myself, that I always stand out, but it was still like 2 minutes later where it said my name. But I've jumped forward just a little bit where it gets a little more quick in my responses. But again, they're not responses to Patty at all. Wait. Night. Look at it. Space. Weird.
Space. You live in this world or a different world?
Code. Path. Hold on. Cable it.
Okay.
When I had that table it, that was, the expression meaning put that off to the side. We're going to talk about it later. That table it.
Mm.
And that one came out like super strong, like just table it, whatever it was. So whether they were talking to us or talking to somebody else that we couldn't hear or that wasn't coming through, I don't know. That one, the table, it was very clear and a little forceful. It's like just table, kind of an idea. But we went, wait, night, look at it, space, weird, code, path, hold on, then table it. I don't know what you exactly can make of any of that.
I personally don't make anything of it. I just think it's interesting. But as you go on, there's a little bit more said. And Ken makes a good point there too. Sometimes
Ken was with me last weekend. Welcome, Ken. Yeah, he was with me there in the house last week.
And that's it. Like I say, my particular impression of the Estes method is it's a fun thing to do, and sometimes it's weird. Like sometimes interesting things happen. The majority of even the ones I've done that I hear it's a stretch, like you're stretching to make it makes sense. Does that?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The very fact that you believe it said your name, no, that is absolutely, because Enzo is not a popular name.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
And I can't even actually think about another word that sounds like it, unless And so so it's weird, but yeah. All right, and are we up to? Where are we up to now? We're up to
5:36. We're about a third of the way through. There's a couple of things up here the next like 2 minutes that I feel it led Patty down a different path as far as her questioning and stuff, which had to do with my introduction to the group.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. I have to let my dog out.
Yeah, it's all right. I think I'm going to have to let mine in a minute. He's outside the door barking. Oh, not barking, going, rah. Go, Enzo. Go.
Response.
Do you remember when I told you my name? Can you say it?
Construct. What?
Do you remember what
God. Fire.
What are you talking about?
Can't see. The ship.
What are all these words meaning?
Too old to see.
When I said the ship, in my head, I was imagining like a sailing ship or, an actual like cruise ship or something like that. I think Patty may have thought, yeah, she may. I did get a weird thing where I said fire, can't see, the ship, too old to see, which was just, there was something about that too old to see that just stood out as kind of weird.
We've got Angelina in now for her 20 cents or 10 cents worth or 2 cents worth. But hey, Angelina.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Perfect. Yeah, perfectly.
Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome in. Yeah, I'm glad you've been able to pop in because you'll be able to. I don't want to sound like the Debbie Downer of Enzo's experience, but I like to pick things apart but I must admit, but I must admit, if he heard his name, that's weird. So that's true.
Well, hello to Pam in the chat. Pam E. She was also with me there last weekend.
Hi, Pam. Okay, hit the play button, Enzo. Let's get excited.
All right.
Who's too old to see?
Dusty.
Who's Dusty?
See what you can do. See what you can see.
That particular one that was like right back to back, it was like 2 or 3 separate things, but it was all right together. It was like 2 or 3 different segments, but it said it so back to back that I was like, see what you, and then can do, and then see what you can see was all one block, which I thought was kind of weird.
See a room painted blue, full of dolls. What do you see? Do you see something different?
You can see it.
I want to see it. If I knew what it was.
Leak. I'm back.
Happy. Is this a different
3
person?
of them.
Am I talking to someone different?
Hey, you.
You.
Please don't.
Do you have something important to say to me?
End part.
Sometimes it's
Can you
hard
hear
to
us?
I can hear you, but sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're trying to say.
Expert.
Who's the expert? I'll have him help me.
This is where you should have said Enzo.
Can you say here or someone
Earth and the sun.
Okay. Both?
Physics.
Okay. So, has Enzo seen you before?
In pass.
In the past? So do you stay near him all
That's
the
me.
time? You stay near Enzo?
Deep.
In his memories? Am I understanding you correctly?
Come in.
Can you tell me yes or no?
All right.
And again, it seems like there was this whole, they're either just ignoring her or just mocking her because can you say yes or no? All right. It's like, you jerk.
So it's yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to jump ahead a little bit because there's certainly like blocks where it's maybe not necessarily a different person, but it's like different topics or different blocks where you can kind of break it up a little bit. And the Earth and the Sun bit and physics. And she asks, "Did you know Enzo? And have you ever met Enzo?" And it says in the past. I say in the past. That led to a conversation after this was all over that maybe I'd been abducted or there was UFOs involved at some point in my past. I just don't remember. And I think I didn't really pick up on that part myself. When after listening back to it a few times, I kind of got caught up in the moment there when we listened to it originally when it was all over, and thought maybe I have been abducted. And after listening back with a little more clear head and time to process all of it, it's like I don't think that's exactly what it was. But
No, I don't think so. Dr. Deb has a question for you. How did the experience feel for you at the time, and did you hear various voices, or was it all said with a similar tone and cadence?
The first part that I talked about earlier, where it was like super sarcastic, that first 4 or 5 things, that was all a man's voice, and then everything after that was always a female voice, including when it spoke my name. Basically, when it spoke my name, it was like that was the end of like the first part, and then it said my name, and then it just got super random, just like random words that it's even because I'm looking at like a transcript that actually someone else wrote that was listening to it of just what I said, and it's hard to put anything together. There were certain words as they were said that I felt there was more feeling pushed behind them because there's actually one here in a few seconds where I say on with it. And then there's like a 5-second pause and then freedom. It was like really loud. It was like freedom kind of a thing. And it's like, okay.
But that's where you've got to go, well, what did that have to do with a question? Or was it connected to, like, was it in response to a question, or was it just random?
I don't know. That's what's up next. We'll just listen to that real fast and you can make your decision.
Do you go with him on his
On with it.
adventures?
That's on with it.
Freedom. right?
Because she's like because she asked Patty asked, "Do you go with Enzo on his adventures?" Which I still don't know what that means exactly. And right in the middle of it is like, on with it. Just bypass that. Brina, right? It's like, what?
Where were you guys at?
We were in the doll room, which is up on the second floor of the McInteer Villa, is where we were. And
Oh, okay.
there during it's strange because my recording, I don't hear it, but in Patty's recording, there's a segment, I think it's a little after this, it's near the end of it, where you can clearly hear what sounds like a baby like fussing, like, and even from one earlier, like after I said Earth and Sun and physics, there is like a sound like almost like you can hear like a dog barking, like way in the background. That could have been. We had one person there that was downstairs and laughing and joking and yucking it up, kind of a thing. I think it was probably her rather than dogs or anything barking. But supposedly in the history of the house, the room that we were in, they did have did have children in there. They had babies and stuff in there at one time.
Oh,
But
cool.
but when we originally, like Patty played her recording back off of her stuff originally immediately after we got done, and we didn't hear the baby. But when she played it later downstairs, we went to like the dining room area where everybody was at, and we played the whole thing just for everybody to kind of soak it in and give their own opinions. And that's when you could clearly hear what sounded like a baby fussing in it, which Patty and I did not hear that when we were upstairs and listened to it the first time. But we even like rewound it right there in front of everybody and listened to it. And it is clearly on the recorder, but we didn't hear it when we were upstairs the first time to hear it, which I don't understand at all.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But sometimes you don't hear things and then you'll pick it up on a recording. I mean, I haven't, but other people have.
But
all right. So is there anything, I can't remember, is there anything further along that's like outstanding?
Let me take a look. There's a thing towards the end. I'm trying to figure out exactly where it was. 12:45. Basically, the intention for Patty was to only have this be about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to like that, last minute or so, she was like, "Hey, we're getting ready to end this. Is there anything you want to say or any of that stuff?" And there is at 12:56, I say, "Wait," and then 12:57, wait. Like it was like super urgent. It was like, wait, kind of a thing. Which is, let me get to it.
Good.
Okay, we only have a couple of more minutes. Do you have anything else that you want to tell me?
Need.
Weed?
Wait.
Okay, we only got a couple more
I'm
minutes.
bowling.
That might have been a commercial.
But
Well, maybe this one was holding its sheet.
well,
That's what I was thinking. Folding what?
Yeah, that's because I even had like a separate person. It's like, did you say folding or bowling or what? It's like, I said folding, like you're folding a sheet. I don't know what that means. And for the most part, that's it. But that's kind of how the entire experience went, where that there wasn't really any kind of direct interaction between Patty and whatever I was repeating back. The sounds I was hearing. It was very clear words that I was hearing, especially my own name. That was kind of freaky. But that, and past that, it's sort of random. There, you could looking at them in isolation, like just writing down just my responses, you could maybe piece some stuff together, but there's nothing really there that I found it interesting, and I would certainly want to try it again. But it was pretty different from what I'm used to.
What do you think about it when you do it, Angelina? I know it's fun to do and it relaxes me. And then people say, "Oh, some of that was pretty spot on, and some of it was random." But oftentimes, for me, it sits on the person asking the questions. For me, it could be totally random, but if you've got somebody on the other end asking a question that likes to link everything together to make it sound like a story, that can sometimes happen as well. But what do you reckon, Angelina?
Well, I personally don't like it because I don't like it loud in my ear like that. But my team members, they love it. So when they do it, and Christina especially, she'll do it on every investigation. I make sure that the questions that I'm asking are pertaining to the location that we're at. And if anything comes up that has nothing to do with it, I don't feed off it. I just keep moving on. And I tend to repeat the questions over and over again. Even if I get an answer, I want to try to get it again. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like I watch some videos and they're like, oh, it said that. And then they run with it. Well, what do you need to go to the hospital for? What do you need this for? And that to me is just like so off-putting.
Yeah, because, especially when you know how it goes. Well, in Enzo's experience with it, I'm glad he had fun.
Definitely.
It was insinuated to him that, just because you said, what was it, Earth, Sun, code, something
in physics.
And physics, that he must have been abducted by aliens.
And I mentioned ship in there somewhere, and again, this is nothing against anybody that was missing, nothing against Patty or anybody else, but sometimes maybe ghost people and UFO people, maybe they should kind of stick to their own thing. But it's and to be honest, I got caught up in it because that was their impression, by not just her. After listening to it, and now I'm like thinking in my head, it really got into my head, and it kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, I've been abducted my whole life and I never knew. How could I not know? I never showed any of the symptoms or signs. And after going back and looking at it in isolation, outside of that, it's like, I don't think that's what was going on.
No, well, maybe they were just letting you know they're on their way to come get you.
That's right. It's only a matter of time. I may get beamed away at any time.
Anytime.
Yeah. I think it's good too. Like if you do it with your team, and like sometimes we've done it, and Christina will just start calling out words, and we'll write everything down. And then as we're going through our evidence, a week or two later, we'll go ahead and refer to anything that came out that could possibly have anything to do with the location that we're at. So that's another good way to do it too. Just write down the words and just leave it there. That way no one is, saying, oh, I heard pizza. You want pizza? Well, tell me this and I'll go get you a fucking pizza. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
Oh. No, you can swear.
Damn it. The F-bomb came out.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many things, and I've listened to Angelina discuss how she likes to investigate and how she likes to not just jump to conclusions, and also why the true history of the place. Angelina had a great rant on it about, and she can expand on it if she wants, but about how you go to a location. Actually, tell us what happened, Enzo. Normally when you go to a location, you'll get whoever's handing you the keys or whatever, give you a brief history of the house. But some of them like to do what with the history of the house, Angelina? This is what she had
tell you all their hauntings and everyone else's fucking hauntings. The power of suggestion.
Yeah. And that drives me nuts. So that's where I thought, yes, it drives me nuts. If you're going to tell me this house was built by Mr. McInteer, and he lived here till he was 106, and he died of old age, or Mrs. McInteer fell down the steps, broke a neck, or whatever, and it's true, well, okay, but don't tell me we often see a lady in white ascending the stairs, or we often hear Mr. McInteer coughing. Or you know what I mean? And then you're predisposed. You're like, oh, it just, no matter how hard you don't want to hear that, you do have it in the back of your mind. So, like, for example, the baby crying in the blue room, you must have been told that. Someone must have told you there's stories of babies and you know.
We actually had several instances of not hearing anything during a recording. You hear it on the recording, which is normal. Well, for what it is. But then they would listen to a recording. It's like, well, no, I don't hear anything. And then they'll play it again later, and there's very obviously something on there, which we had it during this Estes session, which my recorder didn't pick up the baby crying sound, but Patty's did. And even though we had just listened to it 10 minutes before, it was obviously there that everybody at the table is like, what is that noise?
Yeah.
And she actually, I thought it was, maybe that was because that's the other thing is in this house is it is fairly active, and you will hear random noises everywhere in the whole house. And it got to be so old hat hearing footsteps going up and down the stairs or running up and down on the second floor and all that stuff when you're on the first floor, that we got so used to it, we were ignoring it because it was happening so much at this house, where it's just like, bum, 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 bum. It's like, yeah. We heard
Not a raccoon?
Not a raccoon.
That's my favorite go-to, raccoon or rats in the wall.
Or Cody and Satori.
Or Cody and Satori.
They did apparently have a ghost cat, which I saw something go from like the bottom stairs, and it was right at the floor and crossed like in front of this doorway. The morning we left, we were when everybody was first waking up and we were getting ready to pack up. But the previous night, there had been another group that was working downstairs, actually, while we were upstairs working, where they kept catching like glimpses out of the corner of the eye kind of thing of something low to the floor, kind of jumping around. And I don't know if there was like a legend of a cat in the house or whatever. I'm sure at some point since 1889, there's probably been a cat in the house at some point. But they were doing EVP session, just an open EVP type session in this one sitting room. And the thing about the McInteer is there's a lot of little tchotchkes and period specific type furniture. Not all of it is original and ancient antiques, that kind of thing, but it's stuff that's been rebuilt, so it looks, of the time. And they this one group they kept hearing like a rattling sound somewhere, not in the room, but somewhere nearby. And they didn't hear it. They tried to investigate what this rattling sound was, couldn't see anything. And then they were recording a little bit later. They heard the same rattling sound, it seemed a little louder. And they discovered that just on the little room hallway, like outside the room they were at, there was a little table that had a set of 4 cup and sauce, like teacup and saucer set on there. One of the cups had been slid from the middle of the sauce, a little indent in the middle of the sauce out of that. That was the rattling sound they were hearing, like something had batted it off to the side, which certainly was at cat level. And they were certainly 40. Wow.
40 cats.
Jesus.
Yeah, Ken, like I said, was up there, and he's actually he's been there multiple times.
The place stunk. Unless they were good.
But there was that group downstairs for sure seemed to believe that they were dealing with the ghost cat. That was kind of cats will bat things off of a table, that's for sure. And that seemed to be because they were small little teacup kind of things, little setting there on the thing.
Aww.
So it sounds like you had a good time anyway. Please explain. Yeah.
I guess for me, the other big thing, because I was actually hanging around with different groups to see different investigation styles. It's like there was one group, I was upstairs where they had all the lights on and they had like the live stream going, and there's like multiple people having conversations at the same time, talking to each other. And one person's trying to, actually make, Ken was, he was getting some interactivity from his ghost box and stuff like that. And then I would switch, and then I would go downstairs to see what the other group was doing. And they have all the lights off. They're sitting in the dark. They have like a couple of people with like their recorders with the headset so they can like hear it live, kind of a thing. And just speaking very quietly to each other. We're still having a conversation, but we're going to keep it really low so we're not interfering with the recordings, kind of a thing. It could have been catastrophic. But and it was that particular group. I was sitting chatting with them a little bit, and I saw something move out in the hallway. It was near like where it was on the ground floor, so it was near the bottom where the stairs were. It just kind of honestly just looked like a gray sheet thing, just kind of like moved past. At that same time. At that same time, the guys that had their headsets on and are listening with the thing, they're like, and there was an EVP in there. It wasn't super clear, playing back on the, this thing has a little teeny tiny speaker. It's not the best to try and listen back to anything like that. You need, proper headset and stuff like that. And you could clearly hear that it was someone speaking English. You could hear the consonants, you could hear the words trying to, but you couldn't quite make it out. I'm sure you could probably clean it up with a computer a little bit, but that was at the same time that I saw something move, because I saw it. It's like, I thought I saw a move, and these guys are like freaking out. Like, they just got an EVP. So haven't heard back yet what exactly that was from those guys, but
that's pretty cool.
And we ended up staying up till about 4:30 in the morning, and there were other little things. I wasn't super keen on it, but as it turns out, it kind of fell flat anyways. They did break out a Ouija board at one point, and no activity at all. Zero. Nothing happened at all. It just, you had like 4 different people with their fingers just barely touching the planchette, and nothing happened. So that's probably just as well.
Actually, they should have brought out the human Ouija board.
Well, we did upgrade a little bit after that, as Ken was actually part of this one. There
was no thumping.
Thumping. Well, actually, that's not true. There was some thumping from the kitchen area, which there was like a light switch for a light over the sink in the kitchen area, which is right next to the dining room, which is where they were doing the Ouija board. And it sounded like if you took a hammer and just bam, really loud on the counter, like 3 or 4 times I heard just bam. Yeah, I'm not a big Ouija guy myself. I was kind of like, I'm not going to partake, but I will certainly document. And I have it on here, but the thing is nothing happens, so there's nothing to see. But after that, they played some 21, where they left one hand just for whoever. Where actually Ken was, he would look at the cards for him. It's like, okay, if I were you, I'd ask for another card, that kind of thing. But you can do whatever you want. And they had, the spirit box going, and not a lot of interaction after that, because that was right after the Ouija board. Just nothing really out of the speaker box. But after that, they started playing Cards Against Humanity, where they did get a few someone was dealt a card. I don't remember. It was Shaw. She got a card, and as soon as she picked it up to read it, they said whatever it was on the spirit box. As soon as she picked it up, so
that's weird. Did they get that on film?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Actually, I don't remember where I was at the time in the house when that particular incident happened, but we tried a lot of different things. Pizza, was that the word? But I was kind of like jumping around to different groups and different people and different things. And after I had my mini existential shit, this thing said my name and I might be abducted thing, I kind of went outside and vaped for like half an hour.
But do you see how easily, like, you're a sensible man, and it took someone to go, oh, did it, and you hadn't had an opportunity to listen back to it or anything,
Right.
and you're a sensible man. But
Yeah, I got wrapped up into it.
you got ramped up into it, and you were easily like, yeah. And whereas when I listened to that recording in full, I heard nothing like that. I just heard random stuff. And yeah, so it's very interesting that how sometimes when you're in a situation, and I'm sure like Laura hasn't done the Estes method or anything. Have you been investigating, Laura?
Not lately, no.
No, but you have been, and Angelina definitely knows, as we discussed before, when people talk about, telling you what goes on in the house, and then you're predisposed to having those thoughts in your subconscious. And
I actually intentionally did not listen or look up anything about the house. I didn't want to know this person self-deleted in this room and accidentally fell out in the hallway when they did, any of that kind of stuff. Which apparently is one of the things that happened in that house.
I mean, you can know. That's what I mean. I think it's important to know what the house is, who lived there, who built it, etc., but not necessarily to know much about what happened there, so that if you do get anything and then you look back on what happened to the people that lived there or whatever, then you're not being influenced. Like with an Estes method, you're not being influenced to put words together to make something out of those words that's just not there. The same with evidence. At least that's how I feel. What about you, Angelina?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But it is fun. So, and what have you got coming up for yourself, Angelina? Anything coming up soon that you're going to go and investigate or look at?
Yeah, we have a few places, but it sucks that I can't say because of all the Cody and Satori drama. It's some places they have been and stuff. So we got stuff coming up. We're gonna announce it when we get there, and that's the best we can do to keep any drama away or any people away from any negativity. Yeah. But yes, we do have some good stuff coming up. We're actually going to one place I did a debunk on, and we're gonna do a little parody there.
Please do. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. We were going to do a Enzo the Science Guy today, but we might keep that for next week. Because we've talked about all this, but I saw the thing on the meteor or something that was going to possibly hit Earth or something. But I think
there's always a meteor that's about to hit her. I'll tell you
exactly.
Since it is kind of time sensitive, I will throw in that I've mentioned over the last couple times I've been on that the meteor shower is been ramping up. It peaks tonight. Okay. Depending on where you live in the world, if you're at a higher latitude, you may have a strong chance of seeing some aurora tonight because there's been a lot of solar activity the last few days.
It has been. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I got a telescope, and I wish I knew how to use it. It's so complicated. They gave me like all these little different lenses to use and stuff, and I'm like, the instruction booklet is too long. I'm like, screw this.
Where are you, Angelina? You're in Rhode Island, aren't you?
No, we're in Western Mass. I'm an hour away from Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. Well, Enzo could always come for a drive and show you how to use a telescope.
That's right. You come and teach me how to use that, and we'll take you to Salem.
All right.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Do I have to wear a hat with a buckle on it?
If you want.
Yeah, you can probably buy them, can't you? I bet you there's shops in Salem where you can go in and buy witches' hats and buckle hats.
Pilgrim hats. Yeah, I wear the pilgrim hats. Shoot, I like them. Hell yeah. I'm a Yankee through and through.
Oh, God. But yeah, so we've got lots of, as far as what you've got coming up is really good. And then Laura's working on, Laura's always busy. She's on your show tomorrow, isn't she, Laura?
Yes. 7:00.
Yeah. And I'll be on there on, I think, the following Monday. So that'll be cool. Yeah. And we can talk about anything you want on your channel, Angelina.
I think I'm gonna have a good time with Laura, and I think I'm gonna have a good time with you. I
Yeah,
think
I think so.
we'll talk some Conjuring House. I have
Yeah,
another video coming out soon.
yeah.
Let's
Oh, well,
Sweet.
look, it
I'm
is.
actually
It's kind of like I want to start when I see these videos come up. Sometimes though, I want to start playing like the days of our lives, like hours, like sand through the hours.
through the hourglass. Yeah.
Yes,
Indeed.
That'd be
so
funny.
days of conjuring.
That'd be funny. What
I-
do you guys let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think about Jason going live with Jacqueline Nunes's text messages? I think like
think it was shit.
I personally wouldn't have answered her back because she's obviously got something going on,
I was
and
go. Yeah,
I just thought
you
it
know
was
what
in bad taste.
I did too. I was going to say, hasn't he heard of the feature you've got on your phone where you can block?
Right.
You
Right.
block someone, and the same
Yeah.
with the emails. And yeah, I just thought
It's
it's
kind of
just
like it wouldn't be happening to you if you didn't put yourself in the middle of the situation.
yeah, he should have just ignored it in the beginning, and
Yeah.
but unfortunately he is connected because of the toe tapping twins, and yeah, I've seen it all. I can't avoid. I want to avoid it, but every time I load my homepage, and then that little bit of me that thinks, oh, what now?
Mhm.
And I go, what now? And then I play and I go, oh, for like,
Yeah.
and then the other two being on the news. There was another news
Yeah.
thing with the toe
And
tappers. And I'm
it's
like,
so
what's
embarrassing to us here in New England. It's embarrassing that this is happening with a house that has 300 years worth of history that we've all grown up learning about. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. It's becoming to be too much, and that's why I decided to stay away from the work part of it. And when I
Yeah.
saw them on the news the other day, I was like, "What?
Mm.
No way! Like Jacqueline's not hearing voices. She can't be allowed to hear voices, but you guys have spirits come to you." And then the whole thing about hiring whoever they hired to do the barn. I try to stay out of it, but I'm like, God, man, I keep catching them up in lies.
Well, I just wonder, this is just me talking, not about them necessarily, but say it was me, and say Enzo owned a haunted house, and I decided I'll bring all of my stuff and put it on the shelves there, all my, my rock from the Manson murder and all that sort of thing. I'll bring all that. If that's my stuff, and even if Enzo said, oh, yeah, look, I've got house insurance, it's okay if anything happens, I would still insure my stuff separately.
Right.
Exactly.
Just in case it got nicked or stolen or something, you can't blame the
Right.
owner of the house. Like if someone broke
Exactly.
into and unless that stuff actually belongs to you, to the
Mhm.
owner of the house. And I did kind of read between the lines, and it seems to me that the insurance company wouldn't pay out and cover that stuff. And that may have been why, because it wasn't her
Exactly.
stuff.
Right. And people got to think too. It's like you get car insurance, right? So your car insurance is not going to cover everything. So you get $20,000 in damage. They're not going to give you $20,000. So,
No, not necessarily. They
there's more behind all that. One, she spent allegedly $450,000 to help you do that. Two, did you not have your stuff insured personally, each item? And again, you're not going to get all the money back. It's just
No.
not going to happen. I think there's more behind that. There's a lot more behind that, in my opinion.
Well, I'll to not rile anyone up and get any hate to me, I'll tell you what I think's going on when we get off. I think I've got a pretty good idea about what's happening, and I reckon I should be the best psychic or medium in the world, because I don't think it's going to. I'm pretty sure I know where this is heading, and
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't. But
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
Pay attention to Critical Sam, because something is coming.
Yeah, well, I
And
bet something.
that's all I can say.
Yeah, I must look that up. But I must admit, I don't. I did see that with the Jason Hawes, and because I'm not a particular, I used to love him. Okay, I used to
Yeah.
love him. I used to think, what a sweetheart, whatever. But I have been privy to seeing a few things that have been from him aimed at people I care about, and I sort of thought,
Mhm.
I thought I was so disappointed, and I thought, so now, I just don't,
No.
yeah, no. And I did think that was inappropriate. I thought, why are you sharing that stuff? And so obviously that's how the police ended up at her house, because it was from him.
Well, I think that the police, they ended up at her house the day prior. The
Oh,
day that he went live is the day he was getting the messages, I believe he said. But you know, whoever called the cops on her, I hope they didn't do it out of malicious intent, because
yeah, whoever did, I hope it was done because, hey, we're a bit worried about her. Can you go and check on it?
yeah. I've even inboxed her, and people are giving me shit, and I'm like, I might have done videos on Jacqueline or whatever I've done, but I still have a human side, and she is still human. And as humans, we're supposed to protect and be there for each other. So if I don't like you and I see you going through something, I'm still going to help you.
Yeah,
And
look,
I don't see that happening. Just like what boycott the Conjuring House. How are people supposed to boycott it if that's what you want them to do? If you keep fucking talking about it, like a boycott means don't talk about it, don't go there, and you just keep bringing it up and bringing it up. So all these people, Brian, Jason Hawes, Cody Satori, they're just bringing more business. Look at the views she's getting on Facebook. She's making money on those Facebook views. They're just helping her along. So who's to say she's not playing them because they keep calling her out and bringing her views up? That'd be a smart business move. She's a smart businesswoman, I think.
Well, I know the two ladies that
At
I'm
least
putting my 5 haunting questions out on this week, the ghosting grannies from here in Australia, they're going there. They're due there in a couple of weeks, I think. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when they go there. But from my understanding, she lives in Boston anyway.
Yes,
So
a very nice part of Boston that's got a lot of history, a lot of history. So I wouldn't doubt if it is haunted over there. I mean, look, we got 300 years worth of history. We can go investigate pirates if we wanted to.
I know,
Indians, pilgrims, the first settlers, further back than that.
Yeah, yes, Legally Blind guy. I hope it was a wellness check. But yeah, I think to me it's just everybody keeps putting stuff on. And I'm like with the Jason thing, and look at these messages and look at this, and I'm like, no, like just hit your block button, for God's sakes, just block it.
Like, it's just all weird to me because, as a lot of people know, she called me and Mythos out in her very first statement.
Yes,
and I'm not saying nothing against other debunkers or anybody, but I had the balls to inbox her and say, hey, let's talk. And we talked. She talked very civilly to me. She was very nice. I recently reached out to her again to see how she was doing as a human being. And she was extremely, extremely nice to me. And it's just like, maybe she is playing a game, their game, and she's the one who's winning and nobody knows it. Because look at the views that she's getting.
Well, I'll admit I sent her an email.
Good.
And of support, saying that, and I said to her, it's sad to see all this unraveling and happening. I hope you've got close friends nearby helping you, whatever. And she replied, and she was really nice, and she said, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but that's just my gut feeling. This is a big shit stir to create trouble, and there's at the end of it, there's something like there's a little prize at the end of it for they think they're going to get a prize at the end. That's all I'm thinking. I have no understanding why they have to keep churning up this hate stuff. And when she's not showing us what they're sending her.
Because she's smart.
Yeah.
She's smart. Right? I will laugh my ass off if she comes out with proof of everything, like she has many businesses to run, and she's not a practicing lawyer, but she went to law school. So she knows what to do. Like, she's not going to get on there and start no drama and accidentally trip herself up and say the wrong word. And then boom, it's all on her. It's all on her now, but
even
crazy.
I'll make this my last comment on it before it turns into, when I said at the beginning I wasn't going to talk about it. But he showed the message, and she's going, fuck you or whatever. And his reply to her he shouldn't have replied. He should have just ignored it. But he replied, and he basically said, I can't remember exact words. I'd have to go back and look at what it was exactly, but along the lines of, you don't want to mess with me because I'm a tough individual, like you don't want to mess with me. So that's a threat.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry.
know, I heard,
I've actually seen him. I know that he has said that to other people.
yeah, I mean,
So
he did that to me, and people called him out for it, and you know, he emailed me, and we spoke, and we talked, and we worked it out, and it's just, you know, Rise Up Paranormal, people from that team have told me that they do strong arm people. Some of the team members are afraid to speak up because they've been threatened or stuff like that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but you know, I just living as close as I do to Rhode Island, I know a lot, and I know that there's a lot of people who do not want the Hawes family in Rhode Island.
well, you know, I don't know enough about them, but I do know what I read into that message she sent. And if I had that's telling me I'm a big fella, and
when he said that, I was like, whatever charges he just filed against her is going to wash right out because you just said that, and she's got proof.
Yeah, and he's just threatened her back. So
right,
sorry. And
The whole thing's ridiculous.
Oh, it really is. It's just, you know, so I think that the Conjuring house will be okay. I think eventually this will all settle down, so long as the other side settles down. So long as Hawes and all them settle down. And
I'm going to put a job application in. Be like, I know I'm banned, but can I get a job? Yeah, I'll be a tour guide.
I can just see it now.
Could you really be doing any worse? I mean,
hey, I could ask for a summer job. My summer's coming up, your winter. I could say, hey, I can come all the way from Australia. I'll research the history of the place. All I already have.
There you go.
So, I already have. So, and I'll show everybody. I just haven't seen the house. Just show me the house. But
I don't think you want to come up here and do all that shoveling.
No, I know, because it'd be the snow. So, but at least then it would be a nice place to stay, and it'd just be me and the animal. And I saw those. Actually, unless there was more put up, I did see on the Facebook she put some lovely animals up, the birds and stuff, and she was just putting up about it. And I thought, how cute's that? I looked at it and went, oh, that's cute. And apparently people have been saying, yeah, she's talking to animals. I'm like, oh, you wouldn't want to visit me at my house then.
Yeah, like I talk to animals. I save animals. I talk, to them when I'm saving them. And it's just like, Jacqueline, if anyone does their research on her, she's a spiritualist, and she's extremely, extremely about the earth as well. She's with the global warming. She's, all about that. So if people really read into her messages and try to understand those big words she's saying, look them up, it makes sense what she's saying as to what she believes in. It makes sense.
I mean, I was out in my backyard yesterday, and a cockatoo flew in, and he was sitting on the stick. I feed them all, you see, the wild birds. And this particular cockatoo comes in a couple of times during the day, and he sits on a little stick on my patio, on my deck. And so I said, oh, hello. And I'm standing there and I'm saying, hello, gorgeous. What are you doing today? Have you had a big fly? Hang on, I'll come in. And I've come inside and I've come out and I've got him a crack and I've gone, would you like this? Now, if anybody was looking over the fence, they could quite easily say I'm a lunatic. But I don't think so. If you talk to animals, that's a lovely thing, isn't it, Enzo?
He may be a lunatic.
I mean, she could be the Dr. Doolittle of the Conjuring house.
She could yeah. But yeah, I just thought, and the pussycat was cute too. And then I saw someone someone put a comment in there that said something like it looks sick and she should take it to the vet. And I thought, are you friggin' asshole? Like,
that cat probably cost her a couple of grand. Those are like expensive cats. Those are like rich people cats.
Rich people cats. But yeah, Mrs. Doolittle. That's right. But yeah. But yeah, what's that? Cockatoos. Cockatoos is spelled cock, C-O-C-K, A. You're right, cock, A, two, T-double-O. Cockatoo. That's it, D. Very good. Cockatoos. I've got cockatoos in the backyard and corellas, which look like a cockatoo, but not really. But they're about the same size. I've got king parrots, lorikeets. What else has been coming in? Oh, a kookaburra was in my backyard yesterday, so I went to get him some meat,
Really?
and then come out. Yeah, the
Wow.
kookaburra. Kookaburra. And I went out to give him something, and he flew away, and he missed out on the chicken. But I put it up on the top of the thing, and because it got good eyesight, so I thought he might come back for it later.
That's so exciting. I got like a skunk and a raccoon and some rabbits. That's about it.
I'll swap you my cockatoos for the skunk and the raccoon. I still haven't met a raccoon in real life. I still have to meet one. I still
You
have
definitely
have
don't.
to mail you one.
Yeah, you definitely don't want one of our city
We have to
raccoons.
mail you one. That's all.
Yeah, we'll
the
mail her one.
Yeah, city
You
raccoons
guys
are
are
a bit
doing
more-
better than I am. I had to pick up a dead kitty the other day.
Ooh.
A
What
car
did you
ran
pick
it
up?
over. A dead
Oh.
kitten. A car ran it
Aw.
over.
Oh, at least you did the right thing and stopped and scraped it off the road.
Oh no, it managed to make its way into my driveway and pass. Poor thing.
Oh. Did you talk to it when you were picking it up and disposing
No,
of
it was
it?
already. No. I just wrapped him
Well,
up.
damn you.
I
Wrapped him
saw.
up and disposed of him.
I saw. Now this isn't political, please, people. But Robert Kennedy, they were making fun of him for picking up roadkill and stuff, and because he said, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. He's got, what are the birds he's got? Hawks or something. He's got birds. He's got birds of prey that he trains or something. And I thought, well, that's a really good idea because that's what they'd be eating if they were out in the wild. So it's rather than it rotting on the side of the road, I thought I'd probably do that. Like if I had those sorts of birds, because meat can be expensive, but they've been making fun of him. And I thought, you've got no idea. The people making fun of him mustn't like animals.
I mean, it's
If
common
eating
in
bear, it's not very good.
it's common in some. It's like New Orleans. It's common. It's common to get that roadkill and take it home, skin it, and eat it on up.
Right.
Like,
Oh
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Granny Clampett level stuff.
It was Granny Clampett used to talk about roadkill, didn't she? What you making, Granny?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, what you making? I'm
Actually,
making-
around here, if we have like deer and stuff on the side of the road, they pick it up and take it to the zoo.
yeah,
And they
and
feed
they-
it, feed
And
it to the
actually,
lion.
that's true.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
exactly.
Feed
There, when I used to work at the base, we had some deer that were on the base, and we would normally contribute those. We would donate it to a Kansas Hunters for Humanity thing, which basically they would butcher it up for free and distribute it out to needy families across the state. Well, there was one year where we had either given too much or whatever, for whatever reason, they wouldn't take any more. We had a couple of deer, and we ended up going to, there's a prison nearby where I live, and they have a wildlife rehabilitation thing there, which they were very excited. We will certainly take that deer for the exact same reason, like you say. They had some awful, because we went in there and they gave us a tour of the place. It was just seeing these they had like bald eagles that were like missing a wing because some hunter shot at it. Probably the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It still frightens me to this day. Okay, maybe not really, but there was a great horned owl, they're very large, they're very big.
Yeah.
It had gotten into some kind of like water or something that was contaminated and gotten like kind of poisoned, where it had gone blind, which if you've ever seen an owl's eyes already, they're already fairly mesmerizing, but
right.
they still have an iris and everything like us, but its irises were wide open. So it was just these giant black orbs in the front of this creature's head that was like staring into your soul when it turned around to look at you. If you made a noise, it was like, oh my God. Give it something to eat so it doesn't look at me. It's scary.
Oh, poor owl.
But
at least but that's what
Yeah,
I mean. Roadkill, it is an animal that's lost its life, and it's either going to rot on the side of the road and be pecked at by the wild birds, or you can collect the carcass and use it to feed other animals.
that's
I
true.
mean, it's a circle of life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Did you know there's a place, I think it's, I could be wrong. I won't say where it is. I just know it's not a Western country, because I better not say where I think it was because I could get that wrong. But where when they're dead, humans die, they actually take the body and chop it up and put it on a pyre and let all the birds eat it.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Yes, it's a thing. I just can't remember. It's not a Western country. It's not. So I won't say that I think it's India or something like that. It's not, but it's somewhere around there. And it's just this particular, and that's what they do. And I thought, oh, sounds. How could you chop up your loved one? I don't know if I could do that. I could certainly lay.
It's disturbing.
That's disturbing, but but they said they do it so it's in pieces big enough for the animals to eat. And I'm like, oh, and there was footage, like you couldn't see it was from a distance, but it was a fella doing a documentary.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, but I could certainly, I would quite happily, if I died, I'd quite happily lay me out on a pyre somewhere in the middle of the bush, cover me with lavender or whatever, and let them just whatever, whatever. I'm dead. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to know I'm going to get eaten up. It's better than rotting away.
Check with whatever your local zoo or something like that is. Chances are they have a wildlife rehabilitation center built into it, so that if you do live out in the country and you run across some random piece of roadkill like that, they will surely take it to feed those other animals.
Yeah. But there you go. And Dee's just telling everyone about kookaburras. They are good. They're so cute. I got one once. He had a broken foot, and I called him Cookie. I've got photos somewhere. I'll show you next week. But little Cookie, they're only about this big. Like they're not huge birds. But I brought Cookie home, and I thought, oh God. And I thought, well, I'll ring up the local vet and stuff. And they said, yeah, bring him in. We'll euthanize him. And I went, can't you fix his broken leg? Yeah. And they said, no, we don't bother. We'll just euthanize him. And I went, no. And then I rang up the Healesville Sanctuary, which is down in Victoria, because they are a sanctuary and they have birds and stuff. And I said, what should I do with the kookaburra? And they said, take it to the vet so it can be put to sleep. And I went, oh. So I didn't. So I got icy pole stick or an ice cream stick, a thing, and I strapped up its little leg with bandage and everything, and I kept it for 3 weeks and fed it chicken and beef and like just meat. And it didn't like fruit. And then it got to a point where it was able to sort of. I think you're right, bad to the bone, to bet. Yeah, and then I took his little leg never really healed. He couldn't use it, but he was getting around okay, and he didn't seem in pain or anything. So I took him right back to where I found him and let him go, and off he flew. And I thought, well, there you go. They would have just knocked him on the head, and I just tried to. And I actually, by chance, had some bird antibiotics because my cockatoo had been a bit crook. So I gave him everything I could, and I thought, well, at least now, if he's not surviving well because of the leg, at least I've given him a fighting chance.
Did you say crook?
Crook, like sick. Yeah. Yeah. Here in Australia, if you're feeling
slang.
Yeah, sorry. If you're feeling a bit sick, you often someone will say, oh, how are you going? And you'll go, oh, I'm a bit crook. And that just means you feel a bit sick.
Gotcha.
Not that you're a crook.
We're learning.
Yeah, we're learning. That's going to be some of my questions for you. How do you say this? What does this mean to you guys?
Right.
But there you go. Crikey,
I used to do that to a friend of mine in England. I used to, say, what do you call this? And
yeah, because some of the things are pretty normal. Some of the stuff's all bad. I'm looking forward to going to England because if I go into a shop and ask for tea and scones, I'll get a scone. Where I go into America and ask for a scone, I get what we would call a biscuit or a slice. So it's really interesting. But I do miss American biscuits, American scones. I do, and I could absolutely right now. I'm starting to get hungry because it's nearly 12 o'clock. I could really going somewhere for a nice what do you call it? The gravy, the white gravy sauce over
Biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and
Biscuits
gravy.
and gravy.
I had
yeah.
some at a place in Atchison last week, and it was delicious. I put gravy on everything.
Oh,
I
it's
love
awesome.
So I can't have biscuits and gravy. I could make myself some, I suppose. But I'm going to cook a roast. I'm putting roast lamb on in a moment. So tonight for dinner, I'm having roast lamb and roast potatoes. So there you go. Do you guys eat?
Hey, we're
roast
going to show
potatoes?
up with four.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you do. I can't remember having sausage gravy basically. Yeah.
I make sausage gravy like on Sunday mornings. Or my stepson loves it. He's like, "Will you make some sausage gravy and biscuits?" I'm like, "I'm on it."
Yeah, I only do that in the wintertime because it's very fattening.
Yeah, it is.
You could do a cooking with Angelina segment.
I love to cook. He just texted us yesterday. He said, because he's with his dad for the summer. He said, "I miss Angie's chicken and her French fries because I make homemade French fries all the time." Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, bring your ass home."
Well, guys, it's nearly time to say goodbye. We're coming up to the 2-hour mark, and we've talked about things I didn't want to talk about, but I'm kind of glad we did. Oh, and hang on, Enzo's obviously got something to show us before I head off. What's this, Enzo?
We're talking about wild animals that we rescued. This is one of mine.
Aww.
This is an American kestrel. It's the smallest of the falcon family.
Oh, but it's too cute.
Hello, fella. Oh, I sound like Jacqueline. Hold on.
This little guy. This little
fella.
guy was apparently nesting in one of the hangars there at the base, and trying to learn how to fly, tumbled out of the nest and got mixed up with all the maintenance and stuff that was going on in there. So I took it to actually one of the local zoos where they had the rehabilitation area, which they were happy to do it. And as it turns out, about 3 weeks later, another one of these popped out of the same spot in the same hangar, took it to the same place. And this specific one, which this one's a male, the other one was a female, that happened a few weeks later. They're like, this male has not said or done any kind of vocalizations at all since it's been here for the last few weeks. As soon as that second one came in, just went berserk. But they're fascinating because they're so small, they're very tiny. They'll actually flutter and hover in the air over a field to look for mice and snakes and stuff like that. They're small enough to where they can kind of hover in one spot and then dive down into some grasses and stuff to get their meal for the day.
Oh,
that's
beautiful.
Is that blue? Is that blue on its head and its side?
It's kind of a gray. It turns a little darker gray as it gets older, but this is the male. Much like most of the bird world, the males are the more colorful ones. The females would be all that brown kind of color you see on the top of the wings and the top of the head.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're pretty slick. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you for dropping in, Ken and Pam. Thank you. Ian, what's Ian saying? Sounds like me in the super. Oh dear, Ian. Yeah, look, thank you, and thanks for dropping in, Angelina and Laura. Thank you
for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's always
nice meeting you, Enzo.
Yeah,
nice
Enzo's a nice bloke. Otherwise, I wouldn't have him on.
I do okay.
Sunday. Yeah,
I look forward to Enzo.
Yeah, he's a good boy. But yeah, and thank you everybody. And Tanya, I'll no doubt catch up with you soon. Tanya's here in Australia, so I'm going to go and catch up with her for lunch or something. We're both daytime people. Usually around about 6 o'clock at night, I like to get into bed. I go to sleep, but I get into bed to snuggle up. Except in summertime. It's just because it's cold here at the moment. So, yeah. And actually, before we go, has your weather settled down there at all? Has it all settled down? Is it still really hot or is it starting to cool down?
Well, it's cooling down a little bit where I am in the middle of the country. So,
okay.
A little bit cooler here.
It's a little cooler here, yeah.
All right then. Well, hey everybody. Just hang 5, and I'll say goodbye to everybody in the chat. Thank you again so much, and I promise I will get my episodes out this week. I think we all go through it, guys, where you just get a bit flat and you think, oh, and you want to do it, and then there's too much. So I'm going to get stuck into it. I'll try not to be flat anymore. Okay. Bye everybody. Thank you so much, and
Bye, everybody.
keep an eye out for this week's stuff.